Yeah.
Well, guys, I just wanted to let you know a while ago in the chat when we were talking about my concern for safety in the game. In 1997, we wrote a script for Hockey Canada because of insurance rates and hitting from behind. And I sent a video to you guys on the chat. It's called Hit Highlights versus the Royals. It's in the 1990s, midget hockey. And I showed at every coaching clinic, there's a hit from behind, highlight, and then there's a number of good hits. And I ask all the coaches that watch it, what would be a penalty? Now that's back in the 90s. I'm curious to think, what would they call a penalty today? Because it looks like pretty good old-fashioned body checking to me back in that day. But today we don't have that kind of body checking going on even. It's stick on puck, a lot more respect in the game. And we used to teach body checking and how to take a check, but it sort of slipped through the cracks. And I'm so worried today about the girls adapting because hitting is a problem. They don't check. They don't know how to check. As Tom mentioned, it's not being taught. And I think, Tom, we're going to have to do some work teaching checking with girls hockey in Calgary. So I just wanted to throw that in while you guys were talking about the game going everywhere else, because I'm really concerned about the safety of the girls' game. The PWHL Pro League, there is good body checking. I think it's just perfect. But the girls have to learn how to do it and be physically mature. So I'll just leave it at that on the body checking. Is body checking or hitting a problem out there, Peter, with kids?
Well, there actually is now. I don't know if it's peculiar to USA Hockey or not, but there actually is a 2-minute penalty for checking. At all levels now, there's a 2-minute penalty for checking. And I believe the criteria is, I mean, maybe it used to be called charging, because it's if I don't have the puck and I get checked or I move the puck, and it seems to me it seems like it's still somewhat of a judgment call. If it wasn't, and I don't know how they decide this part, if it wasn't necessary to check the player,
yeah,
you can get a 2-minute penalty for having checked the player.
That's pretty hard to start reading people's minds and stuff.
Yeah. Well, the other one, Tom, too, for me, I think still the most ambiguous play call is icing. There's so many games where the puck goes, where all a player had to do was reach out their stick and they could have touched the puck.
I know.
But they just stand there and it goes by. And I would always say to the officials, I don't understand how I said, you're rewarding a lack of effort. Don't they have to make an effort to try to play that puck? Like make a reach if you.
The NHL is unbelievable. The icings they call.
Yeah.
Like it's going right by defensemen, and said, "Well, why are you calling that icing?"
Yeah.
But in old timers, it's good because the refs don't want to skate that far, and you can almost take a slap shot to the other end, and they don't blow icing.
Well, yeah. I mean that way. I mean they're gonna have the linesman go chase down the puck anyway, right?
Peter, when you say they don't allow checking, they don't allow physical contact. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's checking. It's still kind of odd because it's new. So it's situational. Like if you have the puck, Wally, yes. I mean, I can still check you if you have the puck. If you're along the wall, I can still rub you out, and there can be a shoulder check, legal shoulder check, that kind of thing. It's more seems to be called in the open ice, from what I've been able to see so far.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to figure it out as to.
I want to run something by both of you. Tom, if you could just wear your thinking cap now imagine you're an official or a coach and there's a check or a hit that went on the ice. I've always thought it would be quite simple for coaches and referees to agree on judging the intent. Is it the puck or is it to intimidate? So the intent of the check, they have to look at the degree of force and judge the intent. And that seems to simplify, for me anyway, calling checking penalties when it crosses the line of respectful contact.
Well, I think it's all whether the stick's on the ice.
You're
If
right.
if you're playing the puck at the same time, then, it's going to take the intensity of the check away.
Yeah.
And, that's good technique. If you're just playing the body, trying to separate the person from the puck, which was always taught. But you're only allowed 2 strides. And I watch some of the boys hockey and they're just running around like crazy, taking 5 strides, hitting people, and people have good technique. I mean, there's no problem with the checking.
Do you think there's still people taking 5 strides, running people today?
Oh yeah, we'll go watch a Bantam game or something.
Yeah.
I talked to some coaches. They got kids with broken wrists right away. Stuff like that. They're getting rammed. It's there wasn't so much of that in our era. I don't think that people were just going around, running around, hitting people. I think that's got a lot to do with the helmet and the cage and all that kind of stuff.
And the other thing, what I'm able to, Tom, what I'm able to find is it seems to be more if there's no effort to play the puck is where that penalty tends to be called. So if I'm going stick on puck, it sounds like, and I follow through and get to the body, then it's okay. If I just take the body without any effort to play the puck, then it's not okay.
Well, I'll see it. They'll take that and the puck will be laying there. Don't even bother with the puck. The last thing in their mind was to separate the player from the puck and get the puck. It's just to separate the player from his head.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's, years ago, I mean, what did you teach? You taught first player takes the body. Second
guy gets the puck.
Second player gets the puck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was true 2-1-2 forecheck.
Yeah.
Well, I years ago, God, it might have been 20. Ray Bennett, who coaches, he's an assistant coach with Colorado now. He did a big presentation to high-level coaches featuring the St. Louis Blues, and they were having a real successful season. And it was a 3-minute clip, and I'm going to send it to you guys right now on chat. It's called St. Louis Forecheck, Stick on Puck. And that was 11 years ago that he introduced that. And I just thought it was the best thing out. It's the purpose of getting the puck as aggressively as I've ever seen. And the clip it's just amazing. I'm just sharing it now. So you've got 2 highlights on there. One's called the hit highlights versus the Royals. And then 11 years ago, NHL clips of the most aggressive forecheck I've ever seen with stick on puck. And I don't know what else you have to do to convince players about how to check properly versus how to maim which it seems like that there's a danger of that happening. Even today in the game I watched last night, I was really worried in the U18 girls game about, it wasn't what I call intentional hits from behind, but they're not prepared for the hit and they get the stick above the center of gravity and push the shoulder. I'm worried somebody's going to break their neck. So,
Wally, was there a difference, much of a difference in the skill level between those two teams?
oh, very close, very close. The game, the game was 5-1, but it was like a 5-4 game. They're two rival-friendly teams in our association. It's sort of the rivalry match. First,
I think there's at least one forward of mine and two defensemen playing in that game.
yeah. But I typed up a report and shared a respect pyramid with Craig this morning because I'm concerned about the lack of respect. Unintentional. It's just sort of happens. They get caught up in the game. And so are the coaches, because the coach was ejected at the end of the game. And both were yelling at the officials. And yeah, the officials were young and learning, but it just went out of whack for me in my capacity observing the play. I'm just trying to get them to focus on the purpose of the game and accomplish it, and that's try to win the game. But the process of learning how to check, get the puck, and put it in the damn net. And he got a little bit borderline in terms of aggression last night, and emotions. Definitely, they lost their emotions at times in the game.
Wally, what was the coach's issue with the officials?
Well, it added up all game. They called a lot of penalties in the first period that really didn't need to be called, but they called them. And then they ignored penalties that should have been called. So they weren't consistent. And that up and down effect of the whole game, I think it added up, affecting the coaches who are good friends, and they're not going at each other, but they're yelling at one coach was yelling at the official. He never got ejected. And the other coach called the official over to talk to him at the end of the game, near the end of the game, and he got ejected. And I think the referee was frustrated, and that's what they do. But my concern wasn't the coaches being ejected. It's the coaches teaching them how to check, how to play people in front of the net, how to turn away and walk away from some situations. And I think checking technique, as Tom said, get that stick on the puck through the hands, through the hips. And if you're going to put pressure, physical pressure, put it on the center of gravity on the hips, not the back or the head.
It sounds like too, Wally, that it sounds like both coaches were pretty, got pretty amped up. And do you think that affected the girls at all too? Because your players kind of react to your mood on the bench.
Well, I don't
follow
think
suit,
it's any different.
Yeah.
Tom, you coached the arch rival team last week, and
yeah,
I thought both benches were quite good, and I thought the game was, well, your team took some pretty dangerous hits, but like you said, in retrospect, your team checked very well. The other team was more aggressive, and they were finishing checks when in fact you're not supposed to body check.
well, they're reaching in from behind a lot too.
Yeah. So checking is so important. I think the idea of making sure you're playing the puck and getting the puck and using technique that help you do that versus just playing aggressively and finishing checks kind of thing, body checks. That's the line in the game. And the professional women's league, they seem to have discovered that physical contact line that the fans love. Like, it really adds to the entertainment value of a game.
Well, they're going to change a bunch of rules. Cassie was talking about any hit to the head, you're out of the game. They're doing some other. She asked me what I'd change in the game too, and I suggested two things.
Yeah.
I said there should be an over and back rule on over that 3-on-3. I said it's so boring when the other team goes back and the other, you know, because it used to be really exciting because they'd be trying to score and then someone started going back and regrouping, and there's hardly any action. And the other thing I said is why are there face-offs on offsides? Because the team that went offside can win the face-off. And the other thing, and nothing happens on that play. So I said in soccer and in basketball, they got rid of the jump balls. There used to be jump balls all the time.
Yeah.
And now they just take turns on the side. And in soccer, you just back off. So everything, in my opinion, should be just a delayed penalty rule. Or a delayed offside rule. So the ref blows the whistle.
Yeah.
You clear the zone and, you know, just the other team gets the puck and can go.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, like what happens on the neutral zone faceoff? You know, like an offside faceoff, really nothing, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I suggested. So I don't know if we're getting traction or not.
That's pretty radical. I like it. What do you think, Peter?
Maybe you had to go somewhere.
Now, when you say 3-on-3, Tom, would you explain that a little more for me?
Well, in the overtime, 3-on-3 overtime,
Yeah.
now teams, they take the puck back way into their end. They'll even pass to their own goalie sometimes, you know, to regroup and to change because to make it more exciting, the 3-on-3, the benches are the far benches. It's a far change, right?
Yeah.
Now they take the puck back into their end. It's just boring as hell. It's not exciting to watch 3-on-3 compared to what it used to be when they started. So there should be an over and back rule, just like basketball, that if you take the puck back in over the center towards your net, the other team gets the puck.
So if you make a change, it's got to be in their half of the ice.
Yeah, well, you can take it out as far as the red line if you really need to change.
Yeah.
But you got to keep possession of the puck.
Yeah.
Instead of skating back into your end, there's a 3-on-3 the other night, and I bet you 2 of the 5 minutes, the other team was going backwards with the puck passing around. There was nothing happening. It was like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
But I think it's really boring myself.
Yeah, we threw around a bunch of ideas of that the other night at the game because it was the same thing. There was an overtime game and it was 3-3 and it was the same thing you're talking about. We're trying to figure out how could you institute a shot clock? Maybe you could do that, but it'd be too hard. The player's backs are to the clock. You can't really see it.
Well, just have an over and back rule. Like
Yeah.
you could go out of your zone if you want. You need to get a change, but you can't cross the red line back in your end, just like basketball has.
Yeah.
You know, and then you know, it'll keep the offense. Because I remember when it first came in, nobody did that. And then a couple of teams started doing it. Then everybody does it.
Yeah, I think like I agree with that. I think you'd get the it would affect the well actually right, it would affect the home team because you got the short change twice. Then you end up with the long change in overtime because you don't switch. So your visiting team would actually have the advantage because you'd have to come all the way across where they could just jump right out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing. But I mean,
Well,
but you're right. They have to do something.
then there's not a big benefit of going in the neutral zone, right?
Right. I mean,
it's
try
better
something.
to keep them under pressure.
Try something. They're talking.
I want to see action. I don't want to see guys skating by themselves back into their own end. I mean, you know, I can go public skating and see that.
No, and you're right. And the reality is, like, when you watch and you watch an overtime, a 5-minute overtime, and then you'll look and you'll see that, it's showing like 2 to 4 shots that they got. You played
Yeah.
3-on-3 with all that open ice for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You could only get 2 or 3 shots.
Well, nobody drives to the net or anything, eh?
No.
They're all waiting for a breakaway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody drives the net. Nobody I just don't like it. And I just remember how exciting it was until everybody caught on to do this.
Yeah. I mean, they used to be, they just try to create a 2-on-1 on someone, right?
Yeah.
Move the puck, go to the net, create opportunities, but not so much.
Well, I mean, skilled players should be able to do something on 3-on-3.
Yeah, no, there's no,
Because there's usually 2 forwards out there too, right?
yeah, there's no question that it should be as slow and plotting, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah, there's less action on 3-on-3 than there is on 5-on-5.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So that's one of the things I suggested to her. It's kind of neat having her on the staff.
Yeah, and it's great that if they start to make that change, because that everything is trickle down, right?
Yeah.
If they're doing it at the pro level, they're trying it at the levels down below. So if they're making rules that work at the pro level, then they will trickle their way down.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's where the model comes from. But they want to really make their game. They're trying to make their game really entertaining to watch. The women,
Right.
and she's I think she's on their board or whatever. So she's
Yeah.
around Calgary a lot more because she used to be gone all the time with the hockey night in Canada and all this stuff and being on the Canadian Hockey Canada board. So now the only thing she does, I think, is a little bit of ESPN, and she's on the executive for that pro women's league, I think, and promote the league.
Yeah, pro sports in general is interesting because I feel like growing up and playing the levels as you need to get hopefully eventually there.
Yeah.
Entertainment is never brought up. Like when you're playing junior hockey, it's about being better than the next player to get yourself into the lineup every night. It's about winning the games. Coach, there's never a discussion about the game being entertaining in any way. And then they finally get to where they want to be, and they just talk about the entertainment factor and keeping the fans around, and it just changes it. It just changes it, I think, sometimes so much for some players.
But I was talking to Mike Johnson, and he said when he was assistant coach in Vancouver, and Brian Burke was a GM, and he said, "You guys can do whatever system you want, but if you do the trap, I'm going to fire you." So, because he didn't want the fans to endure that, watching nothing happen.
Yeah. It's just interesting, like when that whole thing about entertainment and personalities enters the equation, how things can change.
Yeah, and the game is, if players are trying to score, it's an entertaining game to watch.
Right, exactly.
But I'm seeing that at the Flames games now, I'm seeing a lot younger crowd than used to be. I think the young people have, they're coming to the games now a lot more. It seems to me, just watching the crowd when I walk in, walk out, and
Which is great. I mean, that's